Picture an elegant ballroom. 100 round tables, white tablecloths, shining decorations. Each table seats 10 guests, and tonight they've come for a very special occasion, a family reunion. You see, everyone in attendance, every single one of the 1,000 guests is related. All are descendants of the first mythic humans, Adam and Eve. They've gathered to celebrate the birthday of the world, the anniversary of the dawn of humanity. And on the guest list are people from every religion seated in proportion to their numbers on the planet today. There are 290 Christians, 260 Muslims, 150 Hindus, 41 Buddhists. Another 240 claim no religion at all, or spiritual, not otherwise specified, and they're mostly from China, Europe, and the United States. Together, these 5 groups fill 98 of those 100 tables, which leaves, if you can do the math, just 2 tables for everyone else. And at those 2 tables sit several followers of indigenous religions and smaller faiths, including 4 members of the Sikh religion in India. And on those 2 tables somewhere, among them, are descendants of a people from a little patch of land called Judea. Somehow they've survived centuries of dispersion and exile and persecution. There's 2 of them. One of these 2 Jews is from the United States. The other, Israel. The one from America is Ashkenazi. His family fled the pogroms of Eastern Europe in the late 1800s. The Israeli's background is a little more mixed. On one side, grandparents were expelled from an Arab country where Jews had lived for millennia, but don't live there anymore. On the other side, grandparents are Holocaust survivors, people who spent years in displaced persons camp after the war had finished, before finally reaching the one country that would take them in. Of course, the 2 Jews arrived last. They had extra security precautions. In fact, 90 tables had threatened not to attend at all if the Jews were coming. And at the entrance, protesters gathered to keep them out. But in the end, they are quietly seated at a table with a group of friendly American Christians. Finally seated, the 2 Jews strike up a conversation. They speak in English, of course. They discover friends in common, and they realize quickly that they share a tummy issue. They're both lactose intolerant. And just as they're beginning to laugh about that, the MC for the evening walks to the lectern. "Welcome," she says. "We are here to celebrate 5,786 years since humanity's ancestors, Adam and Eve, first walked the earth." She then invites everyone to turn their heads and look at the giant screens. And the video montage, the story, begins. They see Adam and Eve in the garden, the fruit, the shame, the exile. They see Cain and Abel, one dead, one cursed. They see Noah saving the human family from the flood. They see the Tower of Babel, languages dividing the nations. And then Abraham, the father of monotheism. Half the room bursts out into applause. They watch the family's struggles. Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph in Egypt, the Israelites enslaved and then freed. The journey through the wilderness, and then suddenly the screens go blank. There's just darkness. No one gets to see the rest of the video. They miss the entry into the promised land, kings of Israel and Judah. They miss 1,000 years of worship at the temple in Jerusalem, exile, destruction, temple treasures carried off to Rome. They miss the Crusades, expulsions, the forced conversions, the pogroms. They miss the British control of former Ottoman territory. They miss the Holocaust. They miss the Jews being willing to take a tiny postage stamp of ancestral land to finally have a place to call their own. They miss the surrounding Arab countries trying to push the Jews into the sea. And of course, they miss the boycotts, the wars of extermination against the Jewish state. And they miss the anti-Semitic propaganda imported from the Nazis and stoked by the Soviet Union at the United Nations. And they miss the part where Israel makes peace with its neighbors, with neighbors who are serious about actual peace. And of course, they miss the withdrawal of Israelis living and dead from Gaza in the hope that Gaza's residents would turn it into a Singapore of the Middle East. They miss the election of Hamas and their brutality to their own people. They miss the 20 years of rocket fire and abductions. And they miss the barbarism of October 7th, 2023. When the screens flash back on, it's no longer that video reel playing. It's no longer history. Instead, it's propaganda. An image of a bombed hospital with a banner on the screen that reads, "Israel commits genocide." There's no mention that the hospital was a terror base. There's no mention that administrators had been warned, patients evacuated. And the crowd at the banquet grows angry. Some shout for the Jews to be expelled or worse. But at that moment, the Israeli reaches into his jacket and he pulls out an object. He flashes a wink and a smile at the American, and he raises the object to his lips. A piercing sound fills the hall. The sound of a shofar. The room falls still. Then something astonishing happens. Like me, people begin to weep. They weep because the sound awakens them to a realization. A realization that they are repeating old patterns that started way back with Cain and Abel, the very first children of Adam and Eve. They weep because they realize the Jews, just 2 out of 1,000 at the banquet, are the remnant of the people of Israel who had contributed so much to humanity. A people who offered the world its deepest ethical principles. A people whose faith gave birth to 2 other great religions. A people who, against all odds, still lives. They weep for the persecution and for the lost lives. They weep for the progress the world could have made if only their energies had been used for cooperation instead of hate. They weep because they see they could have chosen another path. They could choose another path. A path that meets the real challenges that they all face, everyone in that room. Challenges like climate change, hunger, poverty, disease, the threat of nuclear war, and unbridled technological advancement. They could choose life. And then the MC speaks again. She says, "My children, today is Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the world. Every year the shofar calls out, 'Wake up, open your eyes. There is another way.' You stand at a fork in the road. Remember Abraham and Isaac, the ram caught in the thicket, and its lesson: do not sacrifice your children. Do not sacrifice the generations to come. As a loving parent, I want all my children, in all your glorious diversity, to live in peace. You're not there yet, but I have faith in you," she says. "Take the right path. Pursue peace. Delight in difference. The choice is in your hands. Choose wisely. You've got this." As the banquet ends, the Israeli turns to the American Jew and says, "You know, back home, no one's going to believe us when we tell them what just happened. So what should we say?" And the American thinks for a while and says, "Tell them we Jews are just a tiny branch of the human family, but we've survived for a reason. Tell them we have to look out for each other. Tell them we must know our history so we're not fooled by the lies. Tell them we must embrace the joys of Jewish life, and we must take concrete steps to secure the future of the Jewish people. And tell them this year and always that we must stand tall and proud to be Jews. They embrace as they say goodbye, and they wish each other Shana Tova. And the MC whispers in her still small voice, Amen.